The Miami Heat just went through one of the most embarrassing playoff performances in NBA history. Not just in Heat history, in all of NBA history. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a series where they were outscored by 122 points. That kind of loss doesn't happen unless a team completely collapses. In Game 3, the Cavaliers were so dominant that Devon Mitchell outscored Donovan Mitchell. That's not a typo, and the Cavs still won by 32 points. Miami's defense was a disaster, and Tyler Herro became the main target. Cleveland ran the same play over and over again, pick and roll, just to attack Herro on defense. It worked every time. Ty Jerome looked like a star going up against him. Even worse, Darius Garland straight up called out Herro in the media. When asked about the Cavs' game plan, he said the key was simple: pick on Tyler Herro. That's brutal honesty. Tyler tried to act confident by saying, "There's no way we're going down by 40, but they still lost by 40, the worst loss in Heat playoff history." Bam Adebayo came out after the series and said there are going to be major changes this summer. And when you know how Pat Riley, the silver hair guy, operates, you believe it. This isn't the kind of loss the Heat can just brush off. It was bad enough that fans started asking if Pat Riley should even stay. Stephen A. Smith said Riley should step down and let Erik Spoelstra take over basketball operations. A lot of people agreed. After what happened in Games 3 and 4, it's hard to say that any player is safe. The team quit at home. They gave up in front of their own fans. They shouldn't even be allowed to wear those Heat culture jerseys next year. The entire franchise looked lost, and now the big question is, what's next? After getting destroyed like that, you'd think the Miami Heat would consider tanking to rebuild, just like other smart teams in the NBA have done. But that's the one thing the Heat refused to do. While teams like the Thunder, Rockets, and Cavaliers collected top draft picks through losing seasons, Miami stays stuck in the middle, too proud to lose on purpose and not good enough to win big. Let's look at the Thunder. They drafted Josh Giddey, then flipped him for Alex Caruso. Before that, they picked Chet Holmgren. It's working. The Rockets tanked and got Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., and Amen Thompson. Cleveland got Darius Garland and Evan Mobley before landing Donovan Mitchell. That's how you build a team, through smart drafting after bad seasons. Miami actually has a good track record in the draft too. They found Tyler Herro at 13, Bam Adebayo at 14, and Khalil Ware at 15. So they can clearly scout talent. But still, they refuse to tank. It's not in their culture. They've always said, "That's not us." They think it's beneath them, like tanking is for the smaller, desperate teams. But pride doesn't win championships. Sometimes you have to play the long game. The truth is, Miami has always relied on its location more than a rebuild. South Beach is a magnet for NBA stars. Only 3 cities consistently attract stars: Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. The Heat have taken full advantage of that. Every time things go bad, some superstar ends up saving them. Back in the early 2000s, they lost in the second round to Indiana, and then Shaquille O'Neal showed up that summer. Later, after Shaq left and the team struggled, it only took 2 years before LeBron James and Chris Bosh joined Dwayne Wade. That turned into one of the most dominant teams of all time. Then came another 5 miserable years. They missed the playoffs, didn't have real stars, and weren't competitive. But again, they got lucky. Jimmy Butler decided he wanted to play in Miami. Just like that, the franchise was relevant again. Now compare that to what most franchises go through. The Milwaukee Bucks had to wait 40 years between superstar players. Miami gets one every 5 years just because of sunshine, palm trees, and beaches. That's the Heat's real strategy. Not tanking, not rebuilding, just waiting for the next star to show up. But what if that doesn't happen next time? What if the magic of Miami isn't enough anymore? One of the biggest questions hanging over the Miami Heat right now isn't just about their players. It's about Pat Riley himself. He's 80 years old and still trying to run the team like it's 1995. And while his hard-nosed old-school approach worked for decades, the NBA has changed. It's now a player-driven league, and Riley's unwillingness to adapt is starting to backfire, badly. Take the Damian Lillard situation, for example. Dame made it clear he wanted to go to Miami. The Heat were ready, Dame was ready, but Riley wasn't. Instead of negotiating and getting creative to close the deal, Riley took his usual hard stance: "This is our offer. No changes." That might have worked in the past, but not anymore. Portland ignored Dame's wishes, took a better offer from Milwaukee, and left Miami with nothing. As a backup, the Heat brought in Terry Rozier, and that move flopped. Rozier never found his rhythm, didn't make an impact, and was nowhere near the star they needed. That one missed opportunity shifted the entire trajectory of the team. And let's not forget how things went down with Jimmy Butler. At one point, he was supposed to be the face of the franchise. But that relationship fell apart fast. When Jimmy was up for an extension, Pat Riley didn't exactly show trust. He basically said, "Jimmy needs to play more games to earn it." That's fair in theory, but not in today's NBA, where stars call the shots. In this player empowerment era, you have to keep your top guys happy. Jimmy didn't like that message, and the moment he felt unwanted, the pressure started. Butler didn't ask for a trade publicly. Instead, he made things uncomfortable behind the scenes. Just enough tension, just enough resistance to push the Heat's hand. In the end, Miami had no choice. They moved him for a weak package, a late first-rounder from Golden State and Andrew Wiggins. That's it. That's what they got for their best player. And honestly, did Wiggins even show up in the Cavs series? It felt like Devon Mitchell was the biggest win from that trade, and he wasn't even the main piece. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler is doing just fine, helping his new team while Miami crumbles. The Heat lost a star, got nothing valuable in return, and now have no clear direction. All of this leads to one truth: Pat Riley might be losing his touch. His refusal to bend in negotiations, his old-school mindset, and his resistance to modern NBA dynamics are starting to cost the franchise. Stephen A. Smith might be onto something when he says Riley should step down and let Erik Spoelstra take over basketball operations. If the Heat want to survive in this new NBA, where stars control the market, loyalty is rare, and ego management is everything, then they'll need leadership that understands how to play the modern game, not just the old one. The Miami Heat now stand at a crossroads, and there are only two paths forward. Either they make a bold trade this summer to shake things up immediately, or they stay patient, wait for the 2026 offseason, and go star hunting again when they finally have serious cap space. But both options come with serious risks. Let's talk about the free agency path first. The Heat love this route. Historically, they've always waited for the next superstar to come to them. But this time, that plan might not work so well. The 2026 free agent class isn't exactly amazing. Sure, there are big names: Luka Doncic, Jaren Jackson Jr., Triple J, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Durant, Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Zach LaVine, James Harden, and others. But most of them aren't realistic. Luka and Fox will probably re-sign with their current teams. The older guys, Durant, Harden, Dame, Kyrie, aren't long-term solutions anymore. That leaves you with maybe Trae Young, Zach LaVine, and Triple J. Not bad, but definitely not the kind of superstar class you want to build your entire plan around. It's a gamble, waiting for something that might never come. So the other option is a trade. Miami has some tools to work with. They've got 3 tradable first-round picks, their own in 2030 and 2032, and the Warriors' pick in 2025. They've also got a bunch of expiring contracts to make salaries match. But what about their core players? At this point, can anyone be considered untouchable? Bam Adebayo is a strong player, but after that playoff collapse, he lost a lot of credibility. He's complaining about being left off all NBA lists, but then puts up performances that don't match the talk. If he wants to be the face of the franchise, he has to lead when it matters most. And then there's Tyler Herro. He puts up good numbers every regular season, scoring over 20 points a game for 4 years straight, but come playoff time, he disappears. He even admitted it himself: "I need Jimmy to win." That's not what you want from a supposed star. In the closeout game against Cleveland, he only scored 4 points. 4 points in an elimination game? That's unacceptable. Now, imagine if Herro turns down a contract extension this summer, bets on himself, makes an All-NBA team next year, and suddenly qualifies for a Supermax. Miami would be forced to pay him a massive deal, and that would be a disaster. So trading him now while he still has value might be the smarter move. Who could they trade for? Giannis would be the dream target, but that's unrealistic. Teams like Houston could outbid Miami in a second. However, if Giannis hits the market, it would still help the Heat.
Why?
Because it would lower the price on other stars. Teams would focus on Giannis, which could make players like Kevin Durant, Zion Williamson, or Trae Young more affordable. There's even a small chance Miami goes after Ja Morant. His time in Memphis might be up after all the drama and that sweep. If the Grizzlies want a fresh start, Ja could be available, and Miami has the picks and young talent to make a serious offer. Right now, Miami's biggest trade chips are those 3 first-rounders, Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic. That's a solid package, not elite, but enough to get them in the conversation for a big-name deal. Outside of Herro, they've got Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware as a foundation. Ware looked great as a rookie. So the pieces are there. Now it's just about making the right move. The question is, how does Miami get its identity back? That edge, that swagger, that Heat culture they always talk about? It's not going to come from loyalty or tradition. It's going to come from bold moves. They need a star, again. Maybe it's KD, maybe it's Zion, maybe it's Ja Morant. But one thing's for sure: if the Heat don't make something big happen this summer, they'll be stuck in no man's land. Not bad enough to rebuild. Not good enough to win. And that's the worst place to be.